What's up, Knights of X, and welcome to today's video where today we're going to talk about Datacron Set 19, and this one's a little bit later than normal. It's a little bit tough with me with the holidays, there's a lot going on, but I did want to get this video out. I've kind of made this tradition with my channel. I love going over the Datacron sets and all the level 3s, 6, and 9s, and just giving you guys my opinion and my insights on the set coming forward, and to see what you guys should be looking out for and what you want to get with this Conquest season. So, before we get into it, guys, if you do enjoy these types of videos, don't forget to leave a like on the video and comment down below, and also subscribe to the channel. Really helps me out tremendously. 2024 is coming to an end, and I'm really happy with where the channel is at the moment, and I can't wait to see it grow, and I appreciate all the support, guys. So with that being said, let's get into the stat review. To start off, guys, with stats, there's a lot of good ones this set, and a couple decent and only one bad one in my opinion. I think the one that you're really going to want to go for that has really good ramping and has huge percentages is going to be armor penetration. There is huge scaling with it. A lot of characters in this game deal physical damage, so I think this is a type of set where you're going to want to go full damage. It's going to be really helpful with armor pen, offense, crit damage. Potency and tenacity are always strong stats to have, so I like putting them in the strong category. They are situational. They could definitely cause issues with some counters. Like if you have a Jabba that has a lot of tenacity, cause major issues, and teams that aren't likely to land debuffs, having in that increased potency is huge. Like for the past 5v5 season, I've had a massive amount of potency on my crons for Lord Vader, and it allows me to beat Jabba teams a lot easier. So that's why I'm putting these stats in the strong category. I do think the top three are going to be your best ones. It's going to be armor pen, offense, and critical damage, but these two are definitely situational. Resistance penetration is strong, but I don't think it's as strong as armor pen. Not a lot of characters deal special damage compared to physical damage. And in this set, I think you're going to want to end up going with the other stats. Health steal is situational, so Rey has a pretty good level 3 and 6 this season. So if you get some health steal on her team, especially in 3v3, she can be a pain to take out, guys. So health steal is definitely situational. So I'm putting that in the decent category. And then the only one that's really bad, and it just continues to be a pattern, is critical chance. It just does not seem to be... I can't make the argument to why critical chance would be better than any of the other stats listed towards the left. I do think that first column is going to be your go-to. Definitely decent if you get the other ones, but do not go for critical chance. And that's pretty much going to wrap up the stats for this set. Moving on to the light side level 3 abilities, guys. There is one clear winner this set, and that's going to be the one that states... At the start of the encounter, light side allies gain 15% max health and max protection for each other light side ally. Guys, this one continues to be such a strong Datacron level 3 that works for so many teams. It just makes your team so tanky in terms of health and protection. Like, for example, if you have a Sith Empire team, I know that there's no dark side one, but for the previous one, there's a dark side, 15% max health and protection. Increases his damage output by a lot because of that max health damage. I mean, teams get so tanky, they're hard to take out. It makes the battles longer. Luckily, we don't have defense this set because this combination with defense just creates so many timeouts and unkillable teams. So it's more balanced without defense. But in terms of your light side teams, guys, this, I highlighted it gold. This is going to be your one for every single team. The other ones are going to be situational, or if you can't re-roll it, they're going to be okay. You should aim to get at least 15 of these for your first round. It's really going to make a difference, guys. 3v3 requires a lot of teams, and it's going to really impact battles, so really go for this one. The next one I put in the strong category, which I do think can be good for some teams, but it's not going to overtake the one that we just mentioned. And that one's going to be whenever light side allies critically hit enemies more than 4 times during their turn, they gain 5% critical damage stacking until the end of the battle. So I think this is going to benefit teams that more have a AoE ability, because it's going to be hard to hit a crit on someone with just a basic. So you have people like Lando or someone like Captain Rex who has an AoE ability that they're landing multiple hits, or Rolo. This could be pretty strong, ramping up that critical damage, because hitting an enemy 4 times during one turn, 5% critical damage isn't a lot, but if you keep ramping and ramping and ramping, you can see some pretty big numbers. So keep an eye on that. We might see some crazy combos with that. I'm putting this in the strong category because it does have potential. Moving on to the decent guys for the light side. I put whenever light side allies grant a buff to another ally, that ally recovers 3% health and protection. I typically like putting these in the decent category because in Grand Arena, banners are what matter. Some matchups become down to efficiency, and if you have a Datacron that helps you recover health and protection, that means more banners for your team. I don't think that it will ever overtake the other two listed, but if you're in a situation where you are close on a certain matchup in GAC and you want a team that is able to recover health and protection, they don't have it in their kit, this Datacron could help you recover that banner loss. So that's why I like putting these types in the decent category. Same thing with whenever light side allies resist the debuff, they recover 2% health and protection. It's only there because of the health and protection recovery. Now for the bad one, the one that does have health and protection recovery in the bad one is whenever light side allies daze or stun an enemy, they recover 10% health. This one's way more situational. Not every character has daze or stun. Not as good as the other two, so that's why I put this one in the bad category. But I can't stress enough, guys. Cannot stress enough. You need to get that first one with the max health and protection. So strong for any team. And that's going to conclude the light side level 3s. We're going to move to the dark side level 3. For the dark side level 3, guys, there's a lot of really good level 3s. Very particular for certain team comps, though. I do think the one that is going to be very standout is extremely strong is the first one, and that is dark side allies start the battle with 25% turn meter. That is amazing. Being able to outrun your enemy and gain that much turn meter in the beginning of battle can really change the tide and really stop certain matchups. You're going to want this for your defensive teams. It's going to cause major issues because the speed check is not going to align. If they're starting the battle with that extra turn meter, really strong, guys. You're going to want a ton of these. Really, really essential, honestly. The next one that I put for the strong category is going to be whenever dark side allies use a basic ability, they gain critical chance up, critical damage up, and offense up. These buffs alone are phenomenal. Stacking these with your Datacron stats, your team could be hitting so hard. Like Lord Vader, with his basic ability, when he's ramping up and getting to his ultimate, he's going to be hitting so hard with this level 3. Even Kylo possibly. Kylo could benefit from the other one that's listed below, but these damage dealers, these dark side damage dealers that do these massive hits and ramping damage, Malicos, gonna hit so hard. I'm really gonna be shooting for a lot of these. The dark side level 3s are really, there's a ton of options that you can go for. Gonna be really strong this set. And then the next one is whenever dark side allies start their turn with at least 2 buffs that can be dispelled, they gain 5% offense stacking until the end of the encounter. The reason why I put this in the strong category, guys, is that there's no cap to this ramping offense. And 2 buffs that can be dispelled isn't a crazy amount of buffs. There are plenty of teams that have it, like First Order, advantage, critical damage up, they get tenacity up. There's a ton of teams that have buffs that can be dispelled at least 2. Your team's damage is going to ramp tremendously throughout the battle. They're going to be hitting really hard. I'm really interested to see the combos that we can come up with that level 3. So those are the 3 strong ones, in my opinion, for the dark side. Same concept as the light side one for the decent. Whenever dark side allies gain a buff, they recover 2% health and protection. Same concept. Banners, banners, banners. Health and protection recovery equal more banners for Grand Arena. And for me, that puts it in the decent category. And the only one that really stands out as being bad, in my opinion, guys, is whenever dark side allies are damaged by percent health damage effects, they recover 2% health. In no way, shape, or form is this going to be even close to the other ones. If you get this, you need to reroll it. Not necessary at all. But that's going to conclude the dark side level 3s. We're now going to get into the faction level 6s. For the first faction, we're going to talk about unaligned force users. And this faction, in my opinion, is probably the strongest faction in the game. There's so many characters that benefit and they fit into so many different teams. So unaligned force user level 6s are so important. And we have actually 2 from the previous and now the new set. I don't know if that's ever been done before, but it's pretty cool that you have different options. I think this one's going to lean more towards the light side, but we're going to have to play and see. The first one I put for the strong is whenever a unaligned force user ally is critically hit, they gain 100% critical avoidance and critical chance for 2 turns. Now, when I read this right here, I'm thinking Rey. Rey benefits a tremendous amount from Inspire. The only way you can get rid of Inspire is by critting her. So if you don't get 3 crits in 1 turn on her, and she has 3 stacks of Inspire, you're not removing those stacks, and she's just going to increase her mastery a crazy amount. This one is going to be so good for a raid team. Not being able to crit her causes major issues, guys. And then giving that team 100% critical chance up, you're going to get hit really hard with a big hit. Going to be a huge pain, especially in 3v3. You're going to need to bring a strong team against Ray because it's not going to go well with this level 6. Really, really strong. And then the next one is obviously whenever an unaligned force user ally defeats an enemy, they take a bonus turn. There's a ton of strong unaligned force user guys that in this game. Hylo, unaligned force user, Malicos, unaligned force user, Ray, unaligned force user. There's a ton of characters that do massive damage and they can keep cycling and taking bonus turns. Bonus turns are strong, very strong mechanic. Those are the 2, in my opinion, clear winners of the level 6s for unaligned force users. Then moving to the decent category, I have whenever an unaligned force user ally grants a buff to another ally, that ally gains 10% turn meter. It's not terrible, but not as strong as the other 2. It's only 10% turn meter. Obviously, turn meter gains is good in the game. It's a turn-based game, but 10% is not a massive amount where it's going to overtake the other 2 that we listed. It is better than the other one, so that's why I put it in the decent category. But again, go for those first 2. And then the next decent one is the first time each unaligned force user ally falls below 50% health, all unaligned force user allies reduce their cooldowns by 1 and gain 10% turn meter. I do think this one is a little bit more better than the previous one. You're reducing the cooldowns of all allies, which is pretty important because you can get extra turns with Malicos or extra rocks or even Ahsoka Tano Fulcrum. Like, you're gaining bonus turns. It does require them to get low, so not ideal for like an offensive standpoint, but again, not as strong as the other 2, but not the end of the world if you roll it. And then the only one that's bad, in my opinion, and it could be situational if you want to like throw off your opponent on defense for like possibly dispelling. I just don't like the odds. It states, whenever unaligned force user allies start their turn with at least 2 debuffs that can be dispelled, they have a 65% chance to dispel all debuffs on themselves. Guys, this isn't like it's an 80% chance or a 100% chance to dispel. It's 65. It is higher than 50, but I can't see a situation where this is going to be better than the other 2. It's not a guarantee. The odds are slightly towards in your favor, but again, I can't see this being better than the other ones listed, so that's why that's the only one in the bad category, and that's going to wrap up the unaligned force user level 6. Moving on to Rebels, guys, and Rebels are going to have a huge spike this set, and I'm really excited to see it. There's 2 clear winners in my opinion, the first one being whenever Rebel allies use a special ability on their turn, they gain Repose for 2 turns, and guys, the Rebel faction is massive. There's going to be a ton of teams that can benefit from this. You have Leia, you have CLS, you have Mon Mothma, you have Saw. So many teams that have the Rebel tag, and these abilities, being able to hit under protection is so strong. I think you're going to need a ton of these. There's so many Rebel teams, guys. Really, really decent Datacron. And the next one, which I also think is going to be strong, is at the end of their turn, Rebel allies gain defense penetration up and offense up for 1 turn. If they end their turn, or like CLS, for example, takes a bonus turn, that's technically the end of his turn, he's going to gain those buffs, going to have offense up, defense up, and all the stats combined, he's going to hit pretty hard. Like, that's a strong level 6 ability. These 2 are the clear winners, in my opinion. They're going to work for a bunch of different teams. I would recommend getting a couple of these for the different Rebel teams. Very strong. Then, the decent one that I put is whenever Rebel allies critically hit an enemy during their turn, that ally gains 10% offense stacking for 2 turns. Offense stacking is strong, but it's only for 2 turns. It's not like it's throughout the whole battle. So that's what puts this in the decent category compared to strong. If it lasted more than 2 turns, I'd be like, absolutely put it in the strong. But 2 turns goes pretty quickly. That's why it's decent. And the 2 that I put for bad is, they're not like horrible, but I just can't put these over the other 3. And that's whenever Rebel allies attack out of turn, they have a 25% chance to remove 10% turn meter from the target. I can see this being pretty strong in a Mon Mothma team, but Repose just seems way stronger compared to this. So if you are running Mon Mothma, I recommend getting the first one that we listed, not this one. It makes it a little bit situational, but it's not going to be as good, so that's why it's in the bad. And the last one is whenever Rebel allies or stun, gain 50% turn meter, recover 25% health and protection. Now, I could see this being annoying if you have a Leia team and your opponent's running like JML with Jedi Knight Luke and they stun your whole team. They're pretty much going to be gaining turn meter and recovering health and protection. So this could stop a couple of counters to your team. Like if, for example, the example I just gave with JML and Jedi Knight Luke using his AoE stun, or Revan going for his stun, it's going to give them turn meter and protection. I just don't know how it's going to be compared to the first two. I do think that's very situational. It's more of a defensive Datacron in my opinion, but I'm putting it in the bad category because it does not work for a variety of the Rebel faction. So that's going to conclude the Rebel level 6. We're going to move on to the next faction. Next faction is going to be Imperial Troopers, and there's a couple strong ones in my opinion. One pretty decent one, but I don't think it's going to overtake the other two. The first one stating, whenever Imperial Trooper allies have full health and protection at the start of their turn, they deal 100% more damage on their turn. This is very strong. If your Imperial Troopers can get that turn meter start in the beginning, where the enemy doesn't take a turn, they're dealing 100% more damage when they're at full health and protection, you're going to be hitting so hard. I really hope that this Datacron set brings Imperial Troopers back into the meta. They're such a strong faction. I miss using them, and I hope that this level 6 can really make a difference. Very strong, dealing 100% more damage with health and protection at full. Really excited to try that out. And then the next one I put is at the start of their first turn, Imperial Trooper allies gain offense equal to 400% of their current defense. Then they lose 50% defense. I feel like the history of this Datacron has always been really strong. It really changed Imperial Remnant at one point where they were hitting it insanely hard. Like Dark Trooper Moff Gideon was super powerful. I'm hoping that this does the same thing for Imperial Troopers. Possibly Stormtrooper is going to hit really hard with all that extra defense converting to offense. Could make a difference. I do think those are the two clear winners, and that's why I'm putting them in the strong category. I do like dealing damage, and this one is going to be dealing a lot of damage. Then decent. This one could go in the strong, but I just don't think it's going to be as valuable as the other two, and that is at the start of battle, Imperial Trooper allies lose all max protection and gain that much max health. Imperial Trooper allies gain grit until the end of the battle, which can't be copied, dispelled, or prevented. And grit means you take reduced damage from percent health effects. Very situational. I'm not saying it's not going to work in some teams. I just think the other two are going to be way better for the majority of the Imperial Trooper faction. And that's why it's in the decent category. The second one is the first time each Imperial Trooper ally falls below 50% health, they gain damage immunity for 1 turn and health steal up for 2 turns. I don't know if this will be good for offense or possibly some situational, for Piet on the Lord Vader team maybe. It can be strong. It can be good for surviving, dropping below 50% health. I just don't think it's stronger than the other ones listed. I'm going to put that in the decent category. And then the only one that I think is bad is going to be whenever Imperial Trooper allies attack out of turn, they have a 25% chance to remove 10% turn meter from the target. Same concept as the previous one with Rebels. It can be strong in a Veers team if they're constantly attacking out of turn and they have Range Trooper. But compared to the other ones, I cannot put this in any other category with the other ones listed. It's the only one in the bad. And that's going to wrap up the Imperial Trooper faction. We're going to move on to the Tuskens next. Starting the strong for the Tuskens, I do think there's a clear one that compared to the others. And that's going to be the bonus turn. And that states, whenever Tusken allies fall below 100% health, they gain a bonus turn limit once per character per battle. Bonus turns are very strong. Really good mechanic. Tuskens are always annoying in 3v3. Them getting bonus turns is going to make it even more annoying. I don't know if it's going to stop the go-to counters like Treya that we normally do, or Gas. We're going to have to see. I do think that's the clear winner compared to the rest, though. And starting with the decent, we got a couple decent. It's Tusken allies start the battle with damage immunity for 2 turns. Can't be copied. That could be potentially really annoying. I don't think it's going to stop any particular counter that's already out there. Maybe it might cause Gas some issues if we not get that cooldown increase in the beginning. I could possibly be seeing that, but compared to the other one, I do think that one's going to be, I do think the first one's going to be stronger. But damage immunity is absolutely going to have its perks. Not the end of the world if you get it. I think it's the second best one in the set. Next one is, the first time each Tusken ally falls below 50% health, they gain damage immunity for 1 turn and gain health steal up. Again, not bad. Could cause issues maybe if in 3v3 where you get one of them low and then they gain damage immunity and you're stuck for a little bit, can cause a timeout. That's where I could see that being annoying, possibly. But we're gonna have to wait and see. It could be very annoying. This one can also be extremely obnoxious. Whenever a Tusken ally deals damage to an enemy and no other enemy is blinded, inflict blind for 2 turns on the target enemy, which can't be resisted. I could just see this being annoying in 3v3 where you're facing the Gungans and you're constantly getting blinded and you can't land anything on them. Keep an eye on this. It's definitely decent. We're going to have to wait and see how the meta shakes up with this Datacron. And then the only one that I think is bad is whenever a debuff on an enemy expires, Tusken allies gain 2% potency and tenacity stacking until the end of the battle. Yes, they do apply a lot of debuffs with the dots, but I don't think the Tuskens are going to benefit a tremendous amount from potency and tenacity. The big damage dealer is Warrior, and I don't think they require potency or tenacity. If it was stacking offense, that's a completely different scenario, or critical damage would change this Datacron, but it's potency and tenacity, so I'm putting it in the bad category for now. And that's going to wrap up all the factions, guys. We're going to move on to the character level 9s, and we're going to start with the ones that are bad. Starting with bad, there are quite a bit. Not pretty in terms of the bad. You're going to really not want to get these. The first one is Tusken Raider, and that is whenever Tusken Raider evades an attack, they gain critical chance up and critical damage up for 2 turns and 50% turn meter. This is so situational. It's only when they evade, and it's Tusken Raider. It's nothing crazy. Yes, they have a Omicron in 3v3, but I just can't picture this being better than the other one we show later in the video. It's very bad. The next one has to be the most disappointing for me in this set, and that's going to be Commander Ahsoka Tano, because she's such a good character. I don't even know why they print this one. At the start of Commander Ahsoka Tano's turn, they have a 20% chance to gain 50% defense penetration. This is a classic Datacron that they do on purpose so that you have to be forced to buy rerolls or get you to spend that 600 crystals in the first week to get a reroll. This is useless. Won't have use at all. 20% chance is garbage, and 50% defense penetration up for 1 turn will not make a difference in any matchup. Not good. Do not go for it. If you get it, wait for Territory War to get your reroll mats and get rid of it. Next one is Tusken Shaman, and that states at the start of Tusken Shaman's turn, dispel all debuffs on them. They recover 5% health for each debuff dispelled this way. Not going to make a difference in any battle. Not good at all. Not even close compared to the other Tusken one that you need. And then here are the other 2 Tusken ones. Gains 15% turn meter when other allies use a special ability on their turn. He's not even used in 3v3, and even in 5v5, this is not going to make a difference in any battles. Him taking turns will not change a thing. Not strong at all. The next one, Tusken Raider. Tusken Warrior. Whenever Tusken Warrior is dealt damage, reflect 20% of damage dealt back on the attacker as true damage, which can't be evaded. This damage can't defeat enemies. I call this the Banner Stealer. Maybe that makes it a decent one, but it's really not good. It's not going to be useful for Tusken Warrior. There's going to be... The Tusken Chieftain one is just way stronger than this, guys. Don't get any of the other Tusken ones. It's not going to change anything for you. Next one is Captain Han Solo. At the start of Captain Han Solo's turn, dispel all debuffs on them. They recover 5% health for each debuff dispelled this way. I don't remember the last time I used Captain Han in any Grand Arena in Kyber 2, 3, 4, even 1. I've never used Captain Han Solo. I can't picture this making him a part of the meta. Unfortunately, not a very good level 9 ability. I would definitely skip this one. And the last one, there are other ones that are way stronger. That's why I'm putting this Imperial Trooper here. It's Range Trooper. Whenever Range Trooper critically hits an enemy, Range Trooper gains 10% critical damage, defense penetration, offense, stacking, max of 200% to the end of the battle. Range Trooper is not a damage dealer. There are way stronger Imperial Trooper level 9s that you're going to want to get. With those said, that puts this one into the bad category. And that's pretty much going to wrap all the bad character level 9s, guys. We're going to now move on to the decent category. To start out the decent category, we're going to start with Snowtrooper. And this one's actually pretty good. But there are other stronger level 9s than this one. And that's going to be, whenever Snowtrooper critically hits an enemy, Snowtrooper gains damage immunity for 1 turn, which can't be copied, 25% turn meter, and blinds that enemy for 1 turn. which can't be evaded or resisted. If the enemy was target locked, Snowtrooper also gains protection up 100% stacking, retribution, speed up for 2 turns. This looks great on paper. Absolutely looks great on paper. Exciting. I think Snowtrooper's a fun character. I just don't see how this is going to change the meta or change our team to make it unbeatable or not make certain counters work. I think the other Imperial Trooper one will definitely cause issues with a particular counter. But I can't... This one looks good on paper, but I don't see it making a difference in anything, guys. So I'm putting it in the decent. Then we have the Padawan Sabine Wren. And that's going to be... Sabine Wren gains 50% turn meter when other allies use a special ability on their turn. Turn meter, gain, strong mechanic. There are stronger ones out there, but if you get it and you don't have a Ahsoka team yet, or you have a Bo team and you want to slot her in there, this could possibly make waves on that team, or even a Rey team maybe. It's decent. Turn meter gains is a strong mechanic. The next one I put in the decent category, guys, and I really wish... It's been a really long time since I used Lando, but he used to hit really hard back in the day. And I'm hoping this Datacron can possibly change things. You never know. Maybe in a Leia team, we have to test it out. This one reads, whenever Lando critically hits an enemy, Lando gains 10% critical damage, defense penetration, and offense stacking, 200% max until the end of the battle. He has massive AoEs, and if he crits a certain amount of times, it gets recycled and he can keep reusing it. So maybe Lando's going to be able to stack a lot of damage, and his AoEs are going to one-shot characters. We're really going to have to play and see. There's a lot of theory crafting out there that you can come up with. We're going to have to really play out and test it. I really hope we can get something out of this. The next one in the decent category is... This one is probably, in my opinion, the best one out of the decents, and that's the Han Solo one. The first time Han Solo is defeated, they are revived with 100% health, gain protection over time, 75% for 2 turns, and take a bonus turn. You tie this in with Chewie. You obviously have to go for Chewie first because of the guard. And having to get through Han Solo twice is strong, and he already hits hard to begin with. So when you take him out, he's going to take a bonus turn, and you're going to get hit hard. That attack cannot be evaded. So I do think this is pretty strong, and I don't know if it's going to be better than the CLS one. Maybe if you split up the CLS team in 3v3, but still going to be a pain. Maybe you can slot this in with the dash and make it really strong. Next one in the decent category is Death Trooper, and this one states, whenever Death Trooper deals damage to an enemy, remove 25% turn meter from that enemy. This I like because removing turn meter prevents your enemy team from taking turns. If you're running a Imperial Trooper faction or an Iden or even Dark Trooper Moff Gideon, you're going to be removing turn meter, less turns for that enemy team. This could potentially work. Not strong, but it's definitely decent. And then the last one in the decent category, guys, is Stormtrooper Han. And this one states, Stormtrooper Han deals 5% more damage per relic amplifier level on all allies present at the start of battle. This I could see being strong in maybe a Leia team possibly. There's a lot of relics. You have a Relic 9 Leia, Relic 7 or 8 Drogon or R2. He's going to be hitting pretty hard. He's already tanky. Could be pretty decent. I'm hoping he has a spot this set, and I'm putting him in the decent category. But that is going to wrap up the decent level 9s. We're now going to start getting into the strong ones. So starting out the strong, there's 4 clear ones in my opinion that are pretty much levels ahead of the rest that we've previously listed. And the first one's going to be Tusken Chieftain. And this one states, whenever Tusken Chieftain uses a basic ability in their turn, all other allies gain 25% turn meter. This is strong and already tilting, and I'm going to explain why. If you've ever timed out against Tuskens or ever faced them in Grand Arena, you're going to realize how slow their animations are. So all you're going to see is a bunch of... And the whole team's going to take more turns, and he's going to keep spamming all that, and it's going to be just taking forever to get rid of them. So this one is clearly levels ahead compared to the other Tusken ones. I don't know if it's going to make a difference with certain counters, but if your opponent doesn't have those counters available, this can definitely lead to not an endless loop, but just them taking a lot of turns. If this was whenever Tusken Chieftain uses a basic ability ever, this could be a potential loop, but they listed it on their turn, which I think it balances it. So definitely strong, but not unbeatable. The second one for strong is going to be Commander Luke Skywalker, and I'm hoping this does better than it is on paper. On paper, it looks strong, but it doesn't look game-breaking. And it reads, whenever the Commander Luke Skywalker damages an enemy with a special ability, and that enemy doesn't have Armor Shred, inflict Armor Shred for the rest of battle. Whenever Commander Luke uses a basic ability and damages an enemy with Armor Shred, inflict Exposed for 2 turns on that enemy, which can't be resisted. Commander Luke gains 50% protection up, stacking for 2 turns. I could see this being stronger in 3v3 than 5v5. If you tie this with CLS, C-3PO, and possibly Troopio, could be potentially an annoying 3v3 team. I don't know if it's going to stop the Padme, Moff Gideon, Shaak Ti cheese, but we're going to have to wait and see. If you don't have that available, this could be pretty strong. And maybe on offense, you could take out a lot more. Maybe you could take out gas in 3v3 with this. I do think it's strong compared to the other ones we listed, and I hope I can get it this set. The next one is going to be C-3PO, and this one I do think is going to be strong. It's C-3PO gains 50% turn meter when other allies use a special ability on their turn. For 5v5, this might be better than the CLS one. There's already so much turn meter on a CLS team that 3PO gets gaining more turn meter whenever they use specials. This could, I'm not going to say this could be a loop, but there are potentials for them to be taking a lot of turns with this. Like, it's just a ton of turn meter generation, guys. Keep an eye out if any crazy mechanics or crazy gameplay come from this. Really strong level 9. And the last strong one, in my opinion, guys, is going to be the Cal Kestis one. And this one states, Cal Kestis has 5% max health and max protection per relic amplifier level, and damage they receive is decreased by 15%. This is kind of like a Galactic Legend unique, very similar. Cal Kestis is already a very annoying character with the protection up, making that character even more tanky on a Rey team or even a Seer team makes him so tanky and so annoying. It's going to be hard to get rid of him. Very strong Datacron. I hope I can pull it for 3v3, and I hope you guys can too. That is going to conclude this strong category, guys. We're now going to go into the OP category, and in my opinion, going to be essential for every single roster, especially Kyber 1. OP, guys. OP. Overpowered. These are the ones you're going to want to go for. The first one is going to be Admiral Piet, guys. Without a doubt, one of the strongest this set. The first time Admiral Piet is defeated, if there's at least one other active ally, revive all other defeated allies, and other allies recover 100% health, protection, 100% turn meter, and 100% offense till the end of the battle. Guys, this is broken. If you put Piet on any team, it's not exclusive to any team. This can work for anyone, but even Lord Vader. You're going to have to get rid of Lord Vader first. You're going to have to. If it's just Piet and Lord Vader left, and you kill Piet, the whole team's back. You can't do it. You're going to have to go for Lord Vader first. This is such a strong level 9. It forces you to completely change the strategy of your gameplay. Like, I wonder if this is going to stop Bo-Katan against Lord Vader for the first time in a long time. Very interesting to see. This tied in with the level 6s and the level 3s. Piet could be hitting really hard as well. So guys, I'm going to be going for this. I highly recommend you do too. The second one is going to be Ahsoka Tano Fulcrum. This one is slowly becoming one of my favorite level 9s because it is really strong. And for the past 2 times they've had it with Dengar, and I forgot the other one, it was really strong. It's going to be strong here. And that is whenever an enemy takes a turn, Ahsoka Tano Fulcrum takes a bonus turn. During this bonus turn, Ahsoka Tano Fulcrum deals 100% more damage. This bonus turn can't trigger this effect on enemies. Ahsoka Tano Fulcrum can already hit like an absolute truck. With this, 100% more damage, and I'm assuming a majority of the community has her at Relic 9 for Galactic Legend Ahsoka Tano. She's going to one-shot a Sith Eternal like it's nothing, so you better bring in a tank if you try to underman a Ahsoka team. Do not underestimate this. This is going to slot into many teams. Unaligned Force Users, Rebels, Spectres. Be prepared for this. This is going to be an essential this season. And this next one might be controversial. I know not a lot of the community has this character at Relics, but I do think this could be potentially an issue for some teams, especially because of the basic ability, guys, in my opinion. This one states it's Magma Trooper. And it is whenever Magma Trooper uses a basic ability, Magma Trooper gains protection up, 50% stacking for 2 turns, and 50% turn meter. We're going to talk about that. Whenever Magma Trooper damages an enemy using a special ability, inflict fear on that enemy for 1 turn, and it can't be evaded or resisted. So, Magma Trooper has the potential to be taking a lot of turns. This is not limited to using a basic on their turn. This is just use a basic ability. That's 100% turn meter when they use a basic. Like, it's going to be crazy. And when they use a special ability, they're inflicting fear and can't be resisted. This one could be a huge problem. I'm telling you guys right now. You might think I'm crazy. You're going to see some crazy stuff with this. The turn meter gains, the fear, the protection up. Going to be hard to take out this character. The irresistible fear is going to cause issues. And then just the turn meter gains. You're going to see some crazy stuff. I'm letting you know right now. If you don't have Magma Trooper and Relics, and you have some extra stuff lying in your roster, I do recommend going for him. Going to be really strong. And the last one I'm going to list, guys, I know not a lot of the community has her yet, but I have to put it in the OP category, and it's going to be the new Galactic Legend Ahsoka Tano. And it states, at the start of battle, all Spectre allies gain Mirai's Wisdom for 2 turns, which can't be copied, dispelled, or prevented. Whenever a Spectre ally with Mirai's Wisdom uses a special ability, Ahsoka Tano gains 3% ultimate charge. Ahsoka's already a really strong Galactic Legend. Not many counters out there. I've seen videos of Lord Vader doing well and Leia being a go-to. We're going to have to wait and see if this one causes any difference at all. I do think it's going to be strong. I do think she'll be a very annoying team in 3v3. We're going to have to figure out if these counters still work. But that is going to wrap it up, guys. These are the OP ones. This is the one I think that if you guys have it available in your roster, or if these characters are at relics in your roster, you need to go for them. Really going to make a difference this season, and I'm excited to try it out and see all those good combos. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this Datacron set review. If you did, leave a like. Comment your thoughts down below. What did I get right? What did I get wrong? What should I have included in the OP category? What shouldn't have been included in the OP category? Open to discussion, open to your opinion, guys. So leave it all in the comment section below. And if you guys aren't already, subscribe to the channel to become an Out of X. And I'll see you guys in the first round of Grand Arena. May the Force be with you all.